Hey there, Sharon here, Sharon Horne-Ellstrom. Welcome to day 57 of our BU 365-day challenge. To do one thing every day that improves us. This segment, we're focusing on our emotional well-being. We've got our life framework. I'm going to grab it quick because we're going to talk about it today. Remember, we've got physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, financial, relationships, contribution, and communication and confidence are the 9 areas that I use to set goals and work on and pay attention and kind of categorize the different areas and aspects of my life so that I can have areas that I'm improving on. So I can have goals for each of those areas that are more specific than just, I want to be a billionaire, or I want to be, I want to have perfect health in all areas of my life. Those are a little bit too broad to be actionable. They have to be broken down into little bite-sized pieces. So for my life since the 1980s, maybe even the late 70s, I have set goals and objectives based on 7 areas and aspects of our life that I learned from Tony Robbins, who got from Jim Rohn, who got from probably Napoleon Hill or someone else, or somebody came up with the idea to break our life into different categories. And there's lots of different frameworks out there, lots of different categories that people break their life into or their businesses into. They're slightly different. They're really all the same things, right? If you looked at them and compared them, you can find comparisons between them. So today we're going to talk about what are the interactions between our emotional area and aspect of our life and our emotions and all the other areas. Now, we're not going to go into detail with each one, but I did find myself doing my own little exercise today that I'll share with you. It wasn't our action item for today, but since I did it, I like to share it with you as well. But let's talk about a couple things about emotions first. Remember that our emotions and our emotional life, there's actually 3 components to our emotions. Number 1, there's a subjective component, how we experience the emotion. Then there's the physiological component, how our body reacts to the emotion. And finally, the expressive component, and that's how we respond to the emotion or the feeling. So we want to keep in mind that emotions are multi-level. They're not just one little feeling and then they just stop and go away. But we can use our emotions to help us make better decisions. We talked about that a couple of days ago. We can use our emotions to motivate us to act, and we can use our emotions to keep us out of danger, right? To keep us safe, which is probably one of the reasons that developmentally we human beings developed emotions and feelings, right? We have a much bigger set of emotions and feelings to choose from than other living beings on the planet. We feel a lot more feelings than our dogs or our cats or our or horses or different animals or different species, and that's for a reason. Our action item today is going to be to think about each of the different areas of your life and which area do you think is currently being the most affected by emotions in your life. And mine, I'll share mine right now before we even talk about this anymore. Mine, I think, is physical right now, and the emotion I feel the most often is doubt and desire. And as I was creating this little list, I put all the different areas and aspects of our life, and I thought, okay, what is the emotional impact today? And I didn't put that. I was going to do a scale of, how much do I think my emotions are impacting this area or aspect of my life on a scale of 1 to 10. And I found myself not doing that. I found myself writing down the emotions that I experience most with respect to my physical health or well-being. And I about 2 down, I started realizing I was putting a positive and a negative, because in each and every one of us, we live in this polar universe, so we always have a positive and a negative tugging away at us. It's kind of like the little devil and the little angel sitting on our shoulder, speaking in our ear, telling us what to think or do or feel. So I actually wrote down a positive and a negative emotion for each one area. So for example, emotional area, I put love and fear. For spiritual, I put connection. For relationships, I put connection, love, and trust. And so each of those will be different for every one of us, but I found it a useful exercise to write down. So what else do we want to think about with respect to emotions and interacting with the other areas and aspects of our life? Our emotional well-being, our emotions are literally tied and impact all the different areas and aspects of our life, every single one. I can't think of an area of my life that isn't impacted by my emotions, how I feel and how I emote about different things. Our cognitive processes, such as perception, attention, learning, memory, reasoning, problem solving, decision making, we talked about that the other day, they are all impacted by our emotions and our feelings. Why? Because our bodies are these great consciousness facilitators. They take the signals around us and they react in our body, and we feel. Remember the 3 different ways that emotions impact us? We have a subjective feeling about them. That's what feelings kind of are. Then we have a perceptive, something we feel in our body, but really we feel the thing in our body first. Then we have the subjective thoughts and feelings about it. Then we express that emotion or choose not to express that emotion. And so there's all those levels of dealing with emotions. Now, our attention is one of the biggest things that is impacted by our emotion, because we'll do selective attention, right? We will pay attention to things selectively. The things that are important to us or that keep us safe, those get our attention. Things that are just not really important to us, we won't even see or notice. I remember I used to tell stuff to my ex-husband, and he would swear, and I would tell him things repeatedly, or tell him we had something to do, and I'd say 3 or 4 times I'd tell him, and then he would swear when it was time to go to this appointment or something, he'd be like, "Oh, you never told me that." And I'd be like, "I told you like 3 or 4 times." But if it was something that wasn't important to him, which was an indicator to me, what was and wasn't important to him were the things that he just totally zoned out and didn't notice or didn't choose to remember. 5 reasons. One of the best skills that we can develop as human beings is to recognize and learn to manage and respond to our emotions in a way that is in our best interest at any given moment. Have you ever been in a situation where you get angry or have an argument? Ex-husband again. I can remember a couple of times when we were having an argument in the garage, and an all-out scream battle. I hate to admit that nowadays, but at the time it seemed justified. And you actually feel like you're outside of yourself watching the interaction because you cannot believe it's going on. Have you ever had an experience like that? I've had a few in my life, not several, but a few in my life, enough to know that, wow, this is really outside my normal and really different for me. So if we can learn to recognize when our emotions are going the way we want and continue that, or not want, and manage to decide how we want to respond, not just automatically respond, that is one of the best skills we can ever develop. And why is that? Well, because it helps us understand ourselves better. It helps us understand the reason behind our emotions, the reason we do the things we do. It helps us to feel more in control of our emotions. I don't know about you, but I don't like that I'm not in control of myself and my emotions at all. That's one of the reasons after I had kids, but one of the reasons I really stopped drinking alcohol and just don't do it very often. I like my red wine every once in a while, but I just don't choose to participate in getting the out of control inebriated anymore. Not like in the 20s, right? Our emotions, our negative emotions, can lead to negative thoughts and lead to negative actions and behaviors. So that's one of the reasons we want to be able to learn to manage our emotions. We can ask for help. If we're willing to learn and understand our emotions, we can look for help and ask for help and find out how other people deal with situations that we don't want to experience anymore. And they can help us to be a better human being. So our action item begin today. Think about the different areas and aspects of your life and how emotions play into how you're living your physical life, how you're living your spiritual life, how you're living and contributing to the rest of the world. How do emotions play into that? What emotions impact you the most? Share in the comments below just one, the area you think is most impacted right now by your emotions. Again, I said physical because I'm focusing on some physical things, some physical health things, and some, not challenges, well, challenges currently, but going to be challenges in about a year for sure. All right, that's our lesson for today. That's our do one thing to improve ourselves for today. Any questions, hit me up. Otherwise, I will be with you tomorrow with another. We got a couple more days of emotions, an emotional segment, and then we're going to switch into mental and mindset. All right, catch you tomorrow. Bye.